Welcome to Beat the Often Path. I'm your host, Ross Palmer. On this show, I interview people with highly unusual and creative success stories. Unusual times call for unusual stories, and I hope to inspire you by expanding your horizon and opening you up to different ways of succeeding and making money in this crazy world that's changing day by day. And hey, if it doesn't give you any ideas, well, maybe I'll just selfishly keep them all for myself. So what do you think about that? Today, my guest is Marwen Tlili, a music industry entrepreneur who, at a young age, began A&Ring massive hits, including Lost Frequencies, Are You With Me, and many more. We first got to know each other working for Armin van Buuren's Armada Music in Amsterdam, and he's since gone on to A&R for some of the biggest record labels on the planet. Now he's the owner of his own highly successful independent operation, but I'll let him tell you all about it. Obviously, we hit it off right away. We're both rather unusual people, and we've been great friends ever since. In this interview, he shares his tips for success in the competitive music industry, ways of earning income that you might not have thought of, and he has some advice for people just getting started in the business side of music that I think you're really going to want to hear. So, hope you enjoy. Here's Marwen Tlili, who is a music entrepreneur and a crazy dude who I've known for a very long time, since we used to work at Armada Music together in Amsterdam some years back. But Marwen, tell us a little bit about what do you do? What's your career?
Part-time is laying in bed, as you can see.
Very important.
No, I started as actually, I'm a school quitter. That's an important one, I would say. So when I was 17, I started working in my dad's restaurant. Then
a very good restaurant, I might add. Delicious food.
Thank you. I had a love for music, but I never had an idea you could be a music without having any talent at all. On like music, like I don't play instruments, I don't sing, I can't even hit a note with my voice. You've heard me sing, it's not good. Then I by accident rolled into the music industry as a junior A&R for Armada Music. Yep. And that went pretty well. Yep. And then, I worked there for 3 years. Then I moved on, went to Atlantic in the UK. I already had my own company, so I did it as a consultancy job. And then after 2 years of Atlantic, I started my own label again, which is under the Sony flagship.
And what's your label called? What's your new project called?
So the label is currently called Boy from the Beach, but we're actually gonna restructure things a bit and move things around. And I feel like it's time for a more serious note. We started a publishing company, which is called Maison Riche, and the label is also going to be under that umbrella.
Nice.
So yeah.
Okay.
Premiere. No one knows yet.
Only the fanciest. Well, I disagree that you don't have talent. I think you have a strong talent for picking music. I think you have a really, really natural talent for finding artists, finding songs, and knowing what's going to be a hit and what's not.
Well, thank you very much. Well, I've also had flops. Most A&Rs don't say that, but
as long as it balances out, right? As long as they're net profitable.
As long as you can make a profit,
it doesn't really matter. Yeah, exactly. So everybody has flops. So you've obviously been able to make a living doing what you love to do. And you have your own company. So basically the idea of this podcast is just people who have unusual success stories or people who have made money in random or unusual ways, creative ways. So that I think you definitely qualify for.
Well, are we here to talk about my career as a stripper or music?
Whichever you think is more profitable.
Definitely music. People usually pay me to keep my clothes on.
Yeah, people pay you to keep them on. I have no doubt about that. So, for people who are trying to get into the music business, or what obviously you started, you said as a junior A&R, you started, was it unpaid that you started? I can't remember if you were unpaid.
No, it was paid. It was
Okay.
paid because by law you can't like not pay someone. You know,
Okay.
that's kind of slavery. You know, even as an internship, you have to pay someone.
Yeah.
But I started on like 300 euros a month for a full-time job, which was like the bare minimum for a 17. I just turned 18-year-old, you know, so when I was hired, I was 17, and when I actually started working, I just became 18. Yeah. So I worked as a bare minimum, and it's also very unusual to start your career as an A&R. Most people like try and get a job in, let's say, social media or marketing or product management, and then try and move their way up as an A&R. Yeah. So I was kind of lucky that I didn't have a resume. Yeah. And that was the only option.
I mean, you always struck me as somebody who had a vision for where you wanted to go. I think you've always had a sort of 5-year plan that you've been thinking about in your mind. Did all of that go according to plan? So you started as junior A&R. You were very patient from what I remember.
I'm patient, but I'm also impatient because obviously I left after 3 years because I was like, fuck this, you know, I'm going to do my own thing. My plan was always to have my own company because I wanted to build up something for myself. And, you know, I don't mind building it with people, but I don't like having success for someone else while not profiting from it, you know, like, I was at Armada for 3 years, and because I had success, I said, hey, what about my future? And that didn't go down well. I obviously told you. And, you know, for me, the choice was very simple. Like, I might have to, you know, I'm having a great time here. I have a permanent job. You have a permanent contract. I don't know if that's the same in the US, but in Holland, it means if they fire you. Yeah, in Holland, it means if they fire you, they have to pay you a month's salary for every year that you worked at the company. And you're just really unlikely to be fired, and it's really easy to buy a house with a permanent contract. But my salary was really bad for the amount of money that I earned for the company. For my age, when I was 21, that's when I left, I was earning 2,500 euros a month.
And meanwhile, you're generating millions in revenue.
I was generating millions.
By picking some major... What are some of the biggest hits that you had in that time?
Are You With Me was by far the biggest.
So you discovered Lost Frequency. We can say that, I think, right? You found Lost Frequencies and some others.
Yeah, on SoundCloud. And then Are You With Me was his first single. And then the follow-up Reality was also massive.
Hundreds of millions of streams on Spotify.
I think he did over 1 billion streams, which is like only from Spotify, 5 million euros in revenue. He also signed to Cloud9, Armada's daughter company, which is a publishing company. So he generated fuckloads of money there. So I A&R'd 3 singles, which generated combined over 1 billion streams. Then The Bearded Man was having a Sirius XM chill ad every week. Thanks, Ben Harvey. And, you know, like the money was just crazy, crazy. You've seen The Office when we started working together, how crappy it was. And then after Are You With Me, there's a club, a gym, fucking radio studio, everything, you know. They took over the whole building. It went from 1 floor to 3 floors. Just crazy. And you know, then one of the owners came up to me once on a Christmas drinks, and he had a few drinks in him, and he said, "Oh, thank you so much." And he isn't that involved in the company, so he wasn't aware what I was being paid or whatever, as he's just a majority shareholder. And And he said, "Oh, Marwen, thank you so much for Are You With Me? Yeah, my share of it just bought me this fucking boat on Ibiza." And I looked up how much the boat is, and it is a starting price of $1 million.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I'm earning what, 30 grand a year.
Right. Which is like at the top of salaries for.
Yeah.
I mean, we won't go into too much detail.
Don't get me wrong.
That's,
yeah, at my age, it's not bad, but
it's horrible.
Yeah.
I think my opinion is that it's horrible. I think that's unjust.
Yeah, I think it's really
But to your point, that's what happens when you are working for somebody else who's profiting off of your work. In some sense. I mean,
but it could be fair,
Yeah.
You see these major label A&Rs that are earning a lot of money because they, I know it's like a football club, you can't expect the best to have the best players unless you pay the best salaries. It's not like there's a reason Messi is the most paid player on earth for Barcelona. It's because they obviously want to keep him. He's obviously returning the profit for them, and I felt like I was doing far more for Armada than they were doing for me, and I knew if I did it once, and I did it more than once for Armada, I could do it again, even independently, and I did it again independently without a big corporate company behind me, backing me, or any fight. I left with zero money in my bank account.
Yeah. So, and for a bit of context, so Marwen and I, we worked together. We started, I guess, at about the same time.
Yeah, I started a bit before you.
A little bit before, yeah. And back then, he had the idea for this sub-label called The Bearded Man that we did together. We came up with this crazy story about a mythical bearded man, and we talked about the adventures, and all of these tracks were released on The Bearded Man. So that's a really fun story that we had. And of course, just like so many things in these types of situations, nobody believed in the potential of this thing at all. Nobody thought that The Bearded Man would be a success. Nobody thought that the type of music would work. So we were just basically pitching this to a room full of people who didn't care. And then
and it was a bit treated like whatever, let this guy try his thing. We're paying him like 300 euros a month. Who gives a fuck?
Right.
Let him try his shit. If it doesn't work, he's out. We're not losing anything. But it became the most successful thing Armada has ever done. Yep. When number one in the UK, Armada had never achieved that.
Yep.
And still to this date, there is no UK number one. And for the record, a UK number one is very respected. Yeah. And it's really tough. Like the last big record that I had was number 10. Damn. And that's already like, wow, that's crazy achievement,
Yeah.
So yeah.
So okay, so let's switch gears. So that's, you have an incredible track record of picking great songs. So you work for Atlantic, and then you go to working for yourself. You have your own company, you have The Boy from the Beach.
I was already working for myself when I started Atlantic because I started management for some people.
Right.
And I still work with those people. I still work with Merve, and I still work with Dom. Yeah. Almost 5 years down the line. So incredible.
Incredible. So maybe for those who don't know, how obviously the music industry has changed a lot in the last many years with streaming and all of these things. So what are the sources of revenue? How is money made? How can an independent person make money? Just what are the different streams, and what percentage do they make up of the total pie, in your opinion?
I would really say that you have a couple of ways, that lead you to if you look at a techno artist, they don't earn a lot from their music, but on the other hand, they earn really good money from the shows. Not now, obviously, but yeah, I would say if you manage to find a way to release independently, you can earn a quite decent living of that. It's hard to get radio play and all that as an independent. It is hard because you need a team for that. That's constantly, on the case. But like there are artists that do it. But it's still, if you look through the hit playlists and shit, like you only see major labels usually.
Yeah.
Few independents here and there, but like 90% is Sony, Universal, and Warner. So the most money is obviously in commercial music, pop music.
Yep.
But pop music done well, like you can't just go as a starting artist and say I'm gonna do pop. It's really hard to get into that area of music. Dance is a bit easier because you have a niche in dance, but you don't have a niche in pop. It's either pop or it's not. Whereas in dance, you can still make a really good living without any hits. Like there's enough examples of big DJs that never really had a hit and are doing really well for themselves. So how to make money? I would say like really find big opportunities. Like don't just write down your goals and go after them. If you want to collab with a big DJ, go for that. Put your focus on that. But don't just sit around and release a couple of records, because it doesn't work this way anymore in this day and age. People are really quick. You see it now with the whole TikTok hype. A song becomes a trend, and a month later, another song is a trend again. So I would really say, like, you can be lucky. You can drop your first single and it becomes a hit. It happened to Lost Frequencies, but it's hard. You shouldn't even calculate. It's like going to a lottery ticket seller and thinking that the first one that you buy is going to win the jackpot. It's hard. It's hard to break music. Spotify is not pushing new artists anymore like when they were 3 years ago, 4 years ago. When my time with the Bearded Man, I almost only released smaller artists, and they got a lot of push from Spotify. It doesn't happen anymore. So it's hard. It's hard, and I would say really focus.
Are you still banking on, streams? Is that the money generator, is just streams, or is it other sources?
So my main income is from royalties. So streams, sales, radio, neighboring rights, publishing, like that's where a lot of my income is at the moment. And that's why I'm not personally suffering from the whole COVID situation. Is literally because people keep streaming music.
You've got what they call that mailbox money, so it just shows that even if the world shut down, you'd still have a backlog of royalties from whatever happened the last year, the last several months.
The last 2 years. The money that I have right now is from the work I did 2 years ago.
That makes
from
sense.
The releases that happened in 2018.
Your company, how many people are in the company now?
So we have 2 lawyers. Obviously on a
full time, or are they on retainer? Do you just pay
on a retainer, but it's not cheap.
Sure.
I might as well have them full time.
Right. Okay.
But it's not cheap. But one advice I would give any artist: have a good lawyer, because the reason that I make a good living for myself is because we've done really smart deals. You could have a hit record and be broke. You see it so many times. I think it happened to, what is the artist called? They were massive, multiple number ones in America. This girl called T-Bose was in the group. I forgot their name.
What time period?
But you can have 90s. You can have a massive hit, and TLC.
T-Boz. 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 TLC.
Massive hits. Massive.
Some of my favorite records, Waterfall.
Yeah, they didn't make a penny.
Not a penny.
So like, and that's the thing. Like, even on non-hits, you can still make good amount of money if you do a smart deal.
Sure.
1 million Spotify streams is about $5,000.
1 million, but that's worth repeating. 1 million Spotify streams is about $5,000.
$5,000. If you release it solo,
and is that $5,000 split amongst or $5,000 in total to be divided amongst all the right holders?
Let's say if you made a record and you're the sole artist on it and you don't use a label, you just deliver it to Spotify, 1 million streams is $5,000.
Okay, so $5,000, and now, but if you've got a publisher, if you've got other people involved, you're splitting
publisher
off.
is separate.
Okay,
publisher is separate.
But you might be splitting off 20% here, 20% there.
Yeah, you might split, but you can do a good deal for yourself. Maybe keep 50% of the royalties. Okay. Don't do music video, because even if a label pays for your music video, they're not really paying for it. You are.
It's just coming off the back end of your
yeah. Like, it's still coming out of your pocket.
Yeah.
Like, there's no change in that. And
so basically, well, like what you're saying, I mean, so for context for people listening, 1 million streams is realistically not going to be a living for many artists, and when all is said and done.
Yeah, but let's say
that's a lot of volume.
Yeah, but let's say if you are independent and you release a single a month and you do 1 million streams a month, even if you have to cut to buy, like, let's say you do 2 million streams a month, $10,000, and even if half of that goes to other participants, you still have $5,000 a month, which is a lot of money. It's a really good salary, and you still own the catalog. Keep in mind, if you own catalog, you can sell it later on. You can always sell your rights, and that's why you always need to do a deal with the label. And I'm saying this because I don't care, but a lot of labels won't tell you, do a license deal. Make sure you get your rights back. You can always, all the labels will always kind of agree to 15 years. You can push it and try and go for 8 years, but 15 years, they always go for that, and then you keep your master. And that's something you can sell later on. And that's the way you can do smart deals. But back, by the way, to how many people are in the company. 2 lawyers on retainer. A designer on retainer for the label stuff. Then on the Sony side, we have a team of about 6 people working on the label. Okay. And then I have 1 person full-time that I have in my company, which is like a kind of coordinating position between the label and us, and also on the management side, because we only manage 3 artists.
3, yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So do you want to stay small? Is there a sweet spot, or are you just trying to grow as much as possible? Like,
I would say, I've learned a lot on management. Like, that was a real dive in the deep end. At one point I was managing like 10 people, but it doesn't work that way. Like, I'm earning more money now than I was when I was managing 10 people, funnily enough. And that's because I'm really focused on the people I have right now.
Right.
We get really good opportunities because I have the time to find and to work on it. And I would say, like, if we grow, we can, but it's only as long as we can keep the focus. If we can hire 3 more people, we also have the weight to manage more people. But to do 10 artists with 2 people, it's not possible. You can't focus at all on your artists. So now there's a lot of focus. It's really great. Speak to them every day, and you can't do that if you manage 10 people. So it's and we do a release a week on the label.
So you're working 100% remotely. You can work anywhere you want in the world, right?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
You just need your computer, you need a phone, you have your team. Is there a dream? Is there something, like, what is your goal at this moment in time, or have you achieved your goal?
To be honest, obviously I want to keep going with my company, and especially just make enough money to retire one day.
Yeah.
I don't want to be working till I'm 80.
Yeah.
But yeah, my goal, it's mainly like, I just turned a dad 9 months ago. I just want to be happy, have a good life with my family. I used to always want to be like, I want to have 10 billion euros of my bank account. But now that's really shifted. Like, I want to, obviously financial freedom would be nice, but it's, I just want to have fun.
Definitely. I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, everything changes when you have a kid. It's true, isn't it? I mean, my dreams certainly changed dramatically. What I thought success was changed dramatically.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. It changes instantly. You are directly aware of what is really important, and obviously I work hard. But it's funny, as soon as it's not your goal anymore. It's not, money isn't my goal anymore, and I've had the best financial year of my life. It's really weird, and
that's fantastic.
I
think that you've always stayed true to yourself. I mean, in my opinion, you have a real success story because of all of those things, which to me is what matters. It's not about the amount of money; it's about the lifestyle. It's about having integrity. It's about doing it in the right way.
That is what is really important for me, like integrity. Like, I would challenge someone to find someone that can genuinely say that I fucked them over, and deliver proof. Like, of that, like show a contract whereby someone is getting no money or what. Like, I don't want success if it's on someone's back. I don't want that. There's no better feeling than going to the store, buying something you like, and knowing that that's genuine. I can't imagine me going to a store, buying something ridiculously expensive, and knowing that someone else, might not be able to pay rent at the end of the month.
That some intern there is getting 300 euros a month, and you're getting $1 million boat.
Exactly.
You wouldn't feel good about that.
No, I would hate it. It wouldn't make me feel proud.
It's called having a conscience.
Yeah, and I also think being a good CEO and leader is also making sure that your team is doing well. So yeah, for me, I just want to have fun. I want to work with integrity, be honest, and if someone doesn't like it, then whatever, like, and I've burned down some bridges with that, definitely. But I believe in the long run, not in the quick sprint. So I'm just doing my thing, focused on positivity and.
So what advice do you have? I mean, anybody who might be considering going down this path, knowing what you know now, what advice do you have to somebody who is wondering if they can make a career in music at all? Not necessarily as an artist, but let's say doing what you're doing, like as a manager. What advice do you have as a starting point?
Try and learn your deals. It's really funny. I had this conversation with Gia the other day, my fiance. Like, we are both in music, and I said, what advice would you give yourself when you started? And I told her my advice to myself would have been like, really study the deals, which I did, luckily. That allowed me to leave after 3 years, because I felt like I knew enough to at least make a living. To make it valuable, and learn your deals. Really dig in. Like, don't be this A&R wannabe kind of guy. Like, trust me, you like, even as a bad A&R, you can earn more money than a really good A&R, just because you might do better deals for yourself as well. Keep in mind that music industry, like, you might not be relevant anymore in 10 years time. So really know that, to know when the time is right, and try and profit from that, and don't give up. This industry is really toxic. but try and focus on the positivity, not on the negative. It's very easy to lose yourself in negativity. I've made that mistake, but I don't anymore now, and it's much better. And don't get caught up in drinking and drugs. It's very easy in this industry, and fight for what you think is right. And nothing is impossible. And fight for what you believe in, because honestly, if I didn't fight in what I believed, then I would have had 100th of the success I have now.
Wow.
Genuinely, the amount of no's I've had to hear, and still people, like you say that, I'm a successful A&R and all that. I still have to, on a daily basis, convince people, and hear no's. And it's funny. It happened to a record right now, and it's now on hold with a really big artist, and it looks like it's definitely coming out. It just depends on which label. There's a bidding war for the record at the moment. So. But that record was made 5 years ago.
Wow.
I've heard 5 years of no's.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah. So don't give up. It's even the biggest A&R can reject your song. Doesn't mean it's right, because no one fucking knows in the end until it's out. No one knows.
Makes sense. Well, is there on the last thing we'll go over is there anything that you want to promote right now? Is there anything where can people follow you, your work, your artists?
Check my mixtape. Mixtape. You can follow me on Instagram, but it's all, lovely pictures of my family and me. And I sometimes post some work-related stuff. But you can hit me up with questions there for sure. I will definitely answer them if you need advice. What do I want to promote? I don't really have anything to promote, really. I'm. You know what I'm gonna promote? Donate to Black Lives Matter.
Nice. That's a good one.
I don't need any more stuff. I'm living a good life. Do something good for someone. Buy someone food. That's what I want to shout out. Help someone. That's in need. That's it. If you have questions, you can follow me. You don't need to follow me. You can DM me on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need to follow me.
That's Marwen Tlili, now boy from the beach, soon to be rebranded, but at the moment, boy from the beach, killing the game.
Thanks for having me, Ross, and thanks for all the compliments. I'm here in bed,
I deeply respect you. I've always respected you a lot. So
I respect you a lot. You were definitely a big part of the success. I still hear it sometimes where people are like, "Yo, those bearded men stories," and I'm always like, that wasn't me. That was Ross.
That's fun, man. Well, no, we had a blast. Yeah, it was good that we understood each other, and I think in an environment of a lot of weird people that I didn't understand a lot of what they were doing or why they were doing it. I understood this guy. You made sense to me.
That says something.
That says something, yeah.
Oh, and that's the last advice I would say. Have fun. Do it. You're gonna have much more success with the stuff you have fun with and believe in. Don't give up. Honestly, that's the biggest of them all. Don't give up. Don't let someone get you down when you hear no. Just be prepared. You're gonna hear no every day.
Sounds good.
Probably still when you're on a senior position.
Yeah.
You're probably if you're the CEO of Universal, you still hear no.
Just all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're only as good as your last billion.
Yeah.
That's it. All right, cool, man. Well, thank you so much for this. Let's hope that the footage turned out. Let's hope that there's audio.
Otherwise we do it again.